All right, are you ready to be a super sleuth or a master detective? Because that is what the next phase of our conversation experience is all about, is really looking into who we're learning from, looking into what we're learning, looking into and questioning. And this is where you'll see I provided it, it's in the workbook and it's in a download section. It is so important to do this in every aspect of life, but really important when you're learning how to communicate via email, especially because that's how a lot of it is done. There is some texting, there is some very few phone calls, but your conversations when you're learning this, and keep in mind, I remember when we were talking about sending, you know how to do this. You absolutely do. And just because someone is a customer doesn't change. They're a person. And the more that you are interested in them as a person, you're curious about them, you're inviting them in, you're involving, you're asking them to participate, that is, you know how to do this. You absolutely know how to do this. Now, probably similar to me, you're like, yeah, but I would like to know how to do it better. Great. Then know what you want it. As Chris says, it's really important to know what you don't know how to do that well and learn from that. But you have to investigate. And please know that when we're going through this, I am using, I wouldn't say it's skills that I honed in law school totally. I had not honed them before, but it is skills that I really, really spent time developing, because before you use something, before you put it forth in a court case, before you rely, a pivotal piece of your argument or a client's case on something, you make sure you know what is going on. You make sure you know the full story. So many of you you knew this because you grew up knowing it. I had to study it a little bit. I didn't learn it growing up. So here, I'm going to share with you, think about Las Vegas, all right? What would happen to Las Vegas if people stopped gambling? Now, think about just what would happen. It wouldn't exist. Think about all of the beautiful hotels, the amazing experiences, the opulence, the luxury. I mean, none of that is free. None of that is free. So, who are the big winners in Vegas? Well, the house always wins. At the end of the day, the person whose name is on hotels, is on those casino machines, is doing had the show performances and all of that. Those are the people that are winning, because guess what? They exist. They're still standing. They have all of the money. Now, can the house win if no one gambles? No. There is no money circulating. And when you think about Vegas, and I'm not a big gambler, I don't have a bone in my body. I could go to Vegas, enjoy a nice trip, come home. There's no temptation for me on that. But I do know that people have to win or nobody would go. They have to hear the stories of the big winners. They have to see the person win the slot machine. So there have to be some winners. But from a statistical perspective, it is such a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a percent that win. Email marketing is that. That is how that is how it is. There is, when you are looking, when you're investigating, and again, whoever you are learning from, whatever ads you see, and you'll see on the mind map, I gave you lots of examples of different ads that I came across just in putting this together. I think there's, I don't know, a dozen or so. But who do you see as the guru of email marketing? Who is that person? Write their name down. What do they sell? Okay, what is it that they are selling? And who do they sell to? Write these things down. Again, when you're looking at it and playing the role of detective, you need to know those things. You need to know who they're selling to and what are they selling. Now, it's really important to know, when did they grow their list? All right, when we are talking email communication, there is a very big difference between someone who grew their list 5 years ago and someone who's building their list today. So if the person building their list 5 years ago, who's now teaching you how to grow your list and what to do, the landscape for you today is drastically different than the landscape was for them 5 years ago. There was a great podcast. Amy Porterfield was talking to one of the guys over at Social Media Examiner, and he said exactly that. He and Amy were talking about how easy it was for them because it was all new to us. They were like the first, and then all of us that came after, they were the ones that we went to. And so they talk about how easy it was for them. And what I really appreciated was him saying it's very different now. It's very different. Even though they have a list in the 6 figures, it's very different. So how are they communicating that they're the guru? All right. Now, this can be done in a multitude of different ways. And again, you're just investigating. You're just trying to get an idea of the picture of what is going on. Because if you're going to spend your time, if you're going to learn, which means you're developing a skill set, what is that skill set that you want to learn? Think about if you were choosing a college, or choosing a program to enter, to further study. How would you investigate that? I think you'd put a fair amount of research into it. Is this the right place? What are they teaching? Who are the professors? Like, all of those questions are incredibly valid, even more so now in the online space that we all have fun playing in. Then, as they're communicating this, take into account where the information's coming from. And I am of a strong philosophy that when you're teaching things, when you're helping others, that their success should, it should eclipse you, like it should exceed what you've been able to do, because they have a head start. They have the value of that knowledge. What I'm able to do now, I did better, quicker, faster, differently based on my professors. They helped me. They shortened that learning curve. So be very careful when you see, and this is in life in general, but when you see a massive guru with, 3 or 4 shining stories, to me that looks a lot like Vegas. And I want to know, is this right for me? Who's your audience? When did you grow it? How many similarities are there, so that I can find what is going to move me forward, what's going to move my business forward, what is going to help me in that next step. That's what I want for you. I want you to be thinking about this. And is the business focused on teaching others to just be noisy? Grab these 26 templates, squeeze more money out of each sale, do this, do this, do this. That is noisy. That is, yes, I can send 26 emails, but did I have a conversation? Did the person open the email? Did they read the email? Did they have the experience that they would have if I had the ability, which we don't, but if you had the ability to talk with someone? When I was reading through feedback from the Brand Like a Lawyer workshop, someone said, it was just like if Tamsen and I had been in her living room having a chat. That is what I want. That lets me know, okay, on the right track, it's working for you. same for you. What are those conversations that you want to have? How do you want to make people feel? And then look at the guru, look at what they're doing, look at the experience they're creating. And do they have a business outside of teaching email marketing? This, I think, is incredibly important, especially now that, again, you've likely felt this. Unsubscribe, delete, move to the promotions tab, not opening. Did they, and I gave you the example of, did they sell, let's say they had a beautiful handmade scarf business on Etsy, but they learned email marketing and they learned how to do their their business, which was a product that they knew how to do that. They knew how to have conversations. The conversations generated sales. The product generated sales. And now they can say, hey, this is why I was able to do this. Email marketing allowed me to do this, and this is how I did it. That is very different than someone who simply, and this happens many times, they simply bought somebody else's course and are regurgitating it and not necessarily letting you get a feel for, are their conversations turning into conversions? Are they turning into sales? Do they have a solid connection with their crowd, with their tribe that is part of the sequence? And then this, similar to my if gamblers quit gambling, would Vegas exist? If people didn't pay this person to learn about email marketing, would the person have a business? Okay? These are the questions that I ask. They're the questions when I'm looking at stuff and go, okay, if they weren't telling me how to use these 26 templates, would they be doing something else? Okay, well, how did they, and this is, again, it's very circular. It's a very circular argument that, nope, all they're going to do is teach me email marketing. Okay, well, when they started email marketing, what were they selling? Oh, well, they were selling email marketing. Okay, well, how did they teach a lawyer how to generate sales? Because selling legal is very different than selling how to send an email. How did they, I really help people create solid meal plans. Okay, well, how did, that's the correlation that I try to draw, is if they couldn't sell what they're really, really noisy about, would they have something else? What is the other skill sets that played into that? So that's what I mean when I say play the investigator role. Now, in the mind map, you can see there's tons of examples. And if you find a really good one, send it to me and I'll add it to the map. So I want you to find examples. I want you to look. And I know sometimes this is, it appears to be like, oh, but I gotta buy now. You'll see when we get to our creating your own boutique Pottery Barn store, how that's so not the case. It's never the case. Noisy people will always be noisy, and there is no way they're not going to give you every opportunity to purchase. So when you're examining, and let's go back to that word doodle. We're inspecting, we're scrutinizing, we're looking at, we're studying, we're analyzing, we're reviewing, and we're stepping back from those questions, which I know is so hard to do at times. But when you've come this far, you're like, hey, I want to have conversations. Yes, is email my vehicle? Absolutely. But now I have an idea of what I want to say and what I want to do. Suddenly, get these 26, slam dunk email templates is not the slightest bit appealing, because you wouldn't write a template as it is. You'll create your own. You'll create your own templates, your own way of conversing that works, and is reflective of what you want to be doing. So find some examples of some really great emails. Who sends really good emails? Find those. My friend Marcia sends really great emails. It really is as if she was just talking to me. So Find examples of those really great emails. Then find some examples of some really bad emails. And this, for the bad emails, the ones that you're just junking, like the ones that are part of a template, the ones that are part of a mass affiliate, email sequence stream, like whatever you would look at and be like, I don't want to send this. Like, this isn't me. This isn't who I want to be. This is the business I want for the next 50 years. This is the business I want to extend the opportunity for my family to be involved in, for other people to be involved in, for other people's children to be involved in, whatever that is. Find those examples because they show up. Then, as you're looking at all this, as you're investigating and you're looking, what are the words that you'd like your recipients to feel and say when they open and read the email you sent? Because again, we're communicating, we're creating these conversations. Let's turn them into conversations, which means they're going to open, they're going to reply, they're going to take an action as a recipient. They're going to invite you to participate back. You're creating, a nice, friendly game of, tennis or ping pong or just a good back and forth, conversation. And then on the flip side, choose 3 people whose emails you do open. And I want you to write down the words that you feel and say when you open and read them. So again, look in that inbox. Whose emails do you open? What are the similarities that they have with you as a sender? What are the dissimilarities that they have with you as a sender? Because this is, again, it's just bringing this whole context, or placing this whole conversation in a broader context of talking and conversing meaningful ways, because we all have brands that we really like. We all have businesses we like to spend our money with, to spend our time with, to send referrals to. They're all part because we're feeling heard, we're feeling needed, we're feeling like we can participate, that there is a give and a take. So find those similarities amongst the emails that you're opening, and then who are they coming from and how are you alike or different. Now, the next video is very fun, getting totally original on our naming. But we're going to go through PB&J communication design, and it's going to be fun because I'm going to show you how you can use magazines, actual magazines like you would hold, and we're going to use the example of Pottery Barn, but you can replace it with whatever your favorite store is. So any questions, thoughts, ideas, pop them below. I will see you on the next video.